Prepare yourself.
I have to do some email stuff really quick, but you guys begin.
That's fine. So,
Besides, I don't like Brawl.
you don't like Brawl? Why?
I'm more of a melee person. I don't know.
The only problem I had with Brawl was the tripping, and well, there's mods for that.
I'm kind of an asshole when it comes to fighting games.
Why do I play video games? Well, I've been playing video games for a long time. Like, I guess they've always been, you know, sort of present in my life. My parents had somehow got the impression that if they bought, you know, a PC in like 1993, that I would use it to, I don't know, learn things or something like that. Much to their chagrin, that is of course not what happened. And I ended up just playing, you know, dumb games on it, and just that's sort of went from there.
There's one thing I've always known I've wanted to do, and that was to tell stories. In telling stories, it wasn't just telling stories, it was learning stories. It was to hear every story I can. It still is that way with me today. And I've always loved books, I've always loved movies, and then once I learned video games was a compelling medium to tell stories with, I love video games too.
I would say games are good in the fact that they help build a sense of community. I mean, you have all of these communities around games. You've got professional gaming and StarCraft or fighting games. You've got Madden games with help. You know, you have people from sports teams playing Madden games at big events now, which is awesome. And it sort of helps to make games less stigmatized, in my opinion, because it's not, oh, look, the nerds are playing games. It's, oh, look, people are playing games. And I think that's really important as far as moving the culture of gaming forward.
I think what we're learning by being raised with video games is actually evolutionary. I think it's part of actually learning about technology, if anything else. Kids that play video games tend to know computers better and feel very comfortable with them. So that's one very kind of superficial aspect, but there may even be more to it than that. I think, so it drives the development of technology for one thing. Literally, it's always been the leading edge of what PCs are doing anyway, and it's a driver of where creativity and technology meet.
Whether it's in multiplayer games or connecting people in some sort of social realm where when one person is playing a game from one place, they can actually go play either an asynchronous game or a synchronous game with somebody else in the world, you know, in a very casual way, where it doesn't have to necessarily be a fighting game or something where it's, it's a bloodbath. It can be just like, hey, here's my word, here's your word, here's my drawing, here's your drawing. Let's see who scored better.
I started out being kind of a loner, and once I found video games and just my passion for stories, it was another way for me to interact, and it honestly helped me begin to interact with other people in real life as well. It helped me learn how to be more social.
I've always been not the best at making new friends or meeting people, or just, I'm a bit of an introvert. And games for me, they've always been a cool way to sort of bond with new people.
In a way, can be a better community than, going up against real people in a sense, in some ways, in some fashions, because people are so judgmental. And when you aren't faced with some of these real life judgments, I think you can really sometimes see people for who they really are, instead of, maybe their race, their gender, and so on.
I think the reason games started off with kind of a bad rap is that as technology sort of in its infancy, it has to kind of go for the lowest common denominator. It's using literally the lizard part of our brain to kind of do these very seemingly basic things, like I need to shoot that. It's survival. That's very basic.
I think to lump all of video games into one category is really unfair. It's like if I said that all movies were garbage, or that all music was just a bunch of people screaming and white noise. It's not a fair thing.
There are a lot of really terrible video games out there. Companies know that people who buy video games are often parents of small children. And so companies shovel out all of these really cheap, easy to make games with the intention of, making them look good, and then parents think, oh, my kid will like this. And so they buy this really terrible game and take it home to their kids, and because the company's making money, it makes more of this crappy stuff.
And yes, there are violent video games, and there are very action-heavy video games, and there are puzzle-oriented video games, and there's, dressmaking video games. So it's such a wide breadth of various content, various audiences that you can't really, pigeonhole it like that.
It's art, and whether or not it was corporate made or not, it's still art. It's like graphic design. It's influenced by humanity.
My high school years particularly, I wasn't in a very good place as a person. I was pretty depressive and unhappy. I wasn't really motivated to do anything. I was just kind of overweight, not having a good time at school. Things were just kind of shitty overall at that point. In 2007, I think it was, I discovered competitive StarCraft in Korea. I was like, oh wow, there are these people who, play this game just like I do, but they, are normal, right? They push themselves so hard and they endeavor to be so good at it. And that sort of the confidence that I observed in professional StarCraft players really, for lack of a better word, inspired me.
Every medium is beginning to learn to take from other mediums to help them evolve further and more forward. And the most wonderful thing about evolution is that we don't know where it's going to go. We can only guess. And it's powerful.
As video games evolve themselves, the subject matter gets more complex and has more depth. And I think that's only going to grow. Just like in film, you have a range from mindless action to high art. I think games will get there, and as Stan pointed out, the term game will kind of lose its relevancy. It will become broader than that.
So when you're talking about depth, you're talking about the story and the kind of puzzles and problem solving.
And the emotional depth. In other words, right now, like in a shooter, it's all about adrenaline, right? And that's one level of depth, very basic. Mm-hmm. But when you read, when you see a Chekhov play or hear Tchaikovsky, your brain is engaged in a whole other depth, and it's very rare that video games have reached that kind of depth yet. But I think that it will, given technology and development of the craft. And so the themes themselves will become more deeply engaging, I think, and actually life-changing.